Hello and welcome back to this week's Kerbal Space Program video, in which we are sending a rover to the surface of the Duna poles. Now, if you're recreating this mission, make sure you use those normal Max wheels, the ones that are like Curiosity style, because these wheels that I used, I like the retractability of them, but in the end, it's not actually able to escape the lander. I really gotta start testing these things. But I ended up having to hyper-edit on a rover because of the Kerbal Space Program bug with my quick loading. And it ended up with the rovers and it's all of its scientific equipment all everywhere in the Kraken. The Kraken decided not for me to not have a good video. So instead, I had to hyper-edit another one onto the surface, and I ran my rover experiments. Yeah, so if you're doing this mission, make sure you use different wheels. Yeah, it's just a good idea. But other than that, I would also recommend adding a reaction wheel to the rover, because in the end, the rover also flips, and because of that, it can't exactly rove. So if you add a reaction wheel, you kind of just flip it onto the right side, but I didn't, so bad things happened. But that's alright, because in the end, I get a rover on there, I get the scientific data, and I get a 3 point whatever meter fairing. And that's good, because the fairing is very useful. Now, we're going to be adding these kind of legs out here. Also, the landing legs were way too high up. And I'm yawning, because I'm already kind of bored. The landing legs were way too high up, so I would also recommend moving those. Also, there's just enough parachutes. You still have to do some engine burning, but also remember to add fuel cells to this thing, because if you don't, then all that extra fuel that you have kind of goes to waste. Because there's way more fuel in this thing than you need, but I decided to add extra, just in case I had to like move where I was. And then you add those fuel cells to burn off that extra fuel, and it's a nice thing. But yes, I'm actually very excited for Kerbal Space Program 2, which I believe is actually coming soon. Kerbal Space Program 2. Its release date is in 2021, which I think it's just gonna be so exciting, you know? Um, let's get the exact release date here. Kerbal Space Program 2 release date. Okay, so, in between, the sequel is announced during Gamescope 2019 and was slated for March 2020. The release date of Kerbal Space Program 2 was later delayed further to 2021. Fiscal year, meaning it would launch between April 2020 and March 2021. Now it's coming at an unspecified date in fall of 2021. Now you might be like, but why don't they just release it? And it's actually I'm actually fine with it taking a while, because you know what happened with Kerbal Space Program is they published it way too early. The flaws weren't thought out, and it was way sorry, I'm yawning. It was way too late, or way too early, and lots of the bugs were unable to be corrected because of it. And then the developers being kind of coerced into adding more stuff instead of fixing the bugs. It starts to add up, and then these bugs are here, and there's some untreated bugs from 2015, like unread bugs from 2015 that haven't even been attended to. So that's why it's taking such a long time, is to try to narrow out all those bugs so we don't have another Kerbal Space Program. But at last, let's hope that everything goes well and we can get a nice game. Yeah, there's nothing more to commentate about Kerbal Space Program 2, I guess. You'll be pleased to announce that I'm looking into signing up for some Mars missions, not Mars. Mars 2020. I could go for Mars 2027. Mars 2026 Mars 2026. If that at that point I'll be of age. I think that's really cool. Now, of course, there's a lot to do that needs to happen, and oh, all right. So right now, I'm going to be let's talk about the construction a bit. So the first stage, tugboat, normal stuff for Duna. You watch the lander. Now, second stage is a Rhino engine with I like the Rhino engines with the second biggest and second shortest. Jesus Christ, I need sleep. With the second biggest and second shortest fuel tanks, and put together with the ESA paint jobs so that they kind of fit and blend together. The side booster, I kind of took the Falcon Heavy approach and just strapped on two of the main boosters to the side, and that called it good. So we're adding some Separatrons because boosters of that size do typically need some Separatrons because otherwise they will um, crash back into your rocket, and you don't want that. So usually you won't do any damage to the rocket itself, just the booster. But it's good practice to just add Separatrons. It's way better, I guess, just way better. But this rocket is actually a very powerful rocket with over 10,000 meters per second of delta V. This thing could get a lot of places. In fact, I'll probably be using rockets similar to this when I inevitably do a crew Duna mission because, well, it's gonna happen. I'm procrastinating because I desperately need to learn how to perform orbital rendezvous because I don't know how. That's why. That's why there's no crew Duna missions because I don't know how to do orbital rendezvous, and a direct ascent mission is just out of the question. You'd need so much delta V attached to it. It would be possible, but I'd need to develop some really interesting lander. It would have to be a mining ship. I, you know what? I probably could. You know what? I'm gonna develop a crew Duna mission, which is also gonna go to Ike, and then it's going to be a mining ship. So it's gonna go to Duna, it's going to mine, get its resources back, then it's gonna go to Ike, and then mine and get its resources, and then it'll head back to Kerbin. I could probably also land it on the Mun and go to a different biome like the Highlands, or Minmus and go to another biome like the Midlands, or the Lowlands, and just a new biome in general, and then I'd be able to get more science. It'd probably be one of my largest missions. I have done mining missions before, just in my own time, because I like doing them to kind of get used to going to other planets. Just a mining ship, then you don't really need to be worried about saving Delta V because you can just mine it. Like, let's say you're running out of Delta V on your way to Eve and you don't have enough to land and take off. You can make a quick stop at Gilly, mine up the amount of fuel that you need, and then head for Eve. Though Gilly would be a difficult place to mine, granted, just because of its low gravity, it'd be difficult to properly land. But actually, I think that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to build a mining ship. In fact, after this is done and I'm done recording videos for this week, I'm going to start testing in my testing. If you don't know, I have a save file which I exclusively use for testing craft, and I'll probably be getting something sorted. I'll need a pretty big rocket, and I'll probably end up using the largest fuel diameter pieces. So I think you'll need them. Oh, you'll probably need the Making History DLC, but I mean, it just needs to get into low Kerbin orbit. And I think I'm going to include. So what I'm thinking right now is it's going to include some nuclear. It's going to include two or four nuclear engines, one Wolfhound engine, one drills, an ore refinery, probably the small ore refinery, so I can add so that it's smaller. The landing legs are going to need to stick down. I have RTGs, solar panels, um, thermal. How much crew? I think I'm gonna use 4 crew. So it's going to be the Mark III and the Mark I combined together. I think is what I'm gonna do. Or I could use the Hitchhiker crew module. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. If I'm using the Hitchhiker crew module, I'm gonna make that thing really deluxe and whatever. Which I think I might do, considering how long this mission would be. I want to add a bit of realism. Like, we're not just gonna, like, you're not just gonna send, like, But you're not just gonna send 3 astronauts in a single like Apollo-style command pod, and then like 3 command pod in this. But in real life, we wouldn't just send 3 astronauts in like even like Boeing Starliner. We'd send like 7 astronauts in something like Starship because that's huge and lots of living room, lots of place to go, lots of movement. But we wouldn't send 3 people to Mars in like the Saturn V if it had enough delta V, which it doesn't, which is why we never went to Mars with it. I think I think that's pretty common knowledge that we didn't go to Mars with the Saturn V, but what all rockets can go to Mars actually? Well, the Saturn V can go to Mars. It has enough delta V. It just doesn't have enough to put crew. I'm actually thinking here. The Saturn V could probably get to Mars. It wouldn't be able to come back, but it probably could get to Mars. The Ariane 5 can get to Mars. The space shuttle can get to Mars, or at least get a payload to Mars. The Falcon Heavy can. The Falcon 9 can. Starship obviously can. SLS would be able to. Trying to think what other rockets will people actually know about. I can't think of any. Um, what's Blue Origin's main rocket? The New Glenn. New Glenn would be able to get to Mars. Um, what else? I don't think. I think that's it. Actually. Um, I'm trying to think here. Oh, the Delta 4 Heavy, the Delta 4. And what's the other rocket I'm trying to think of? It's the one that like it's like the workhorse of NASA. I'm gonna try to figure it out. I'm going to Mars, and I'm not talking about the footage at all because I couldn't be bothered to. I like talking about my own things or going on rants. It's so fun. But what rocket did did Perseverance launch on? The Atlas V. All right, yeah, the Atlas V. Technically, it would be in order if you want to put like people there and back, you'd need an Atlas. I actually don't know what exact specifications you'd need. All I know is that you need more than what they had on uh, the Atlas V that for Mars 2020. On Mars 2020, it was an Atlas V 541, which is I forget what each number. Actually, I think I can pretty much guess here. So the five. I don't know what the 5 would mean. The 4 is the amount of solid fuel boosters it has, and the 1 would be. I actually don't know. I'll search that up as well. How are Atlas 5 rockets named? The Atlas 5 rocket. So the alright. Naming. Okay, so it is named by the fairing, the CCB, the SRBs, the and then yeah. So the fairing. What does the CCB stand for? Oh, the Centaur upper stage. Oh, that'll be the amount of engines, won't it? Yeah, that'll be the amount of engines. So so it's fairing size, second stage engines, and then and then the amount of solid rocket boosters. Yes. All right. Looks like we're just circularizing a Duna, which is incredibly slow since we're using nuclear engines. But okay. There are a couple. There are a couple things you can get. You can either get Ones with solid rocket boosters or liquid fueled boosters for a heavy version. I should make a rocket in Kerbal Space Program that's like this adaptable. So that rocket, it's very well. You can have no, there's so it can have so it can have up to, so the lowest so the smallest configuration 401 is a 4-meter fairing with one Centaur upper stage engine and no SRBs. Then 402 4-meter fairing. Wait, there's also this upper stage that determines something. Oh, this is so confusing. Um, okay, maybe it's not. Maybe the second number is not for the Centaur upper stage. Um, I'll try whatever my next commentary. I'll figure out exactly how the Atlas 5 rocket naming schemes are, but I can't figure it out right now. Other interesting things. Oh, flat earthers, idiots. Changed my mind. If you're a flat earther, you're stupid and you need to get educated. All right? Because you are clearly not educated. And it just proves that the American education system needs to be reformed. Yeah. What else is there? What else can I talk about? Well, looks like we're just attaching the lander, and we're gonna close those solar panels because I realized I forgot to. I don't know, kind of embarrassing. So whatever. There go our drogue chutes. You can tell that I'm not actually really controlling it right now. I'm more so just letting the parachutes do all the work. So it will naturally it'll naturally point retrograde with the parachutes deployed. Then we'll slowly touch down. And this touchdown actually, I got it first try, and I'm very proud of that. And you can't take that away from me, because I'm very proud. In the future, I'm going to stop using Rovers with the Apollo-style wheels for the 2.5-meter fairing base, because it didn't work out so well. This one, yep, and landed. Perfect. Alright, we're going to close, realize we're starting to drift. I'm going to run that Science Junior, and I should have ran the science experiments before I let the rover go, but I didn't, and here it goes, and it flips. I think I cut out all the failed attempts, and there we go, I just quick loaded, and as you can see, the rover is gone, and the Kraken attacked, and now it's underneath, and it's so dumb. So we're going to head back to the R&D building, because, well, what else can I do? And look, see, there's nothing, and then boom! We're back, and this is totally the same lander. Not at all one that I hyper-edited onto the surface because I was annoyed of Kerbal Space Program's bugging out and my rover not working, and then shut off all the engines. I'm gonna just click on that. Might as well shut down all the engines just so that, you know, this thing can't take off again. We actually don't need the lander. So anyway, we're gonna try to get out. Fail absolutely miserably. As you can see, this design of lander just doesn't work. You need to make sure that your rover is actually able to get out before you launch to Duna. Otherwise, you're gonna have an issue like me. I even moved the landing legs up, and there we go. Got it off. Realized, shit, this ain't gonna work. And then here we are, back, and I just accepted defeat. I'm gonna run all the science experiments, transmit them. Probably gonna send some crew to the surface of the poles, because I can still get scientific data. As you can see, we're actually only getting half by transmitting it. So we're actually able to come back and get the other half of that data. Pretty cool. And there we go. This thing was meant to be able to go to 2 biomes, because as you can see, I added 2 mystery goo units, but sadly the rover flipped, and that never happened. And now, to the R&D building. Just give me a moment. There we go. And on the R&D building, we buy one thing, and that's the large fuel tanks or large containers. I think I only buy the one thing. Yeah. As you can see, buying. Just wait. Large probes. I just kind of was looking at all this. None of it's worth it. We're buying composites, and that's gonna be it for today's episode. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. And as always,